If you've turned your phone on at any point in the past 5 years, chances are you know exactly what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. The superhero film juggernaut basically owns the box office at this point, and has even moved to take the streaming world by storm through its Disney Plus shows. Werewolf by Night is an upcoming Marvel show that has a lot of hype around it, not least because of its director's dedication. First, the Werewolf by Night director cites Twilight Zone as a major influence. It's no easy task to bring beloved comic book characters to the screen, but it's an even bigger one to connect them to the monster spiderweb that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe continuity. Since the first Iron Man movie, Marvel films have been connecting to each other in one way or the other, always hinting at new sequels and characters. Ask yourself, when's the last time you got up before you saw the post-credit scene for a superhero movie? Werewolf by Night director Michael Giacchino seems to have figured out a way to sidestep the incredible pressure that comes with his job by using another zany horror show as an influence. Twilight Zone. You see, episodes in the Twilight Zone are anthological, which means you can jump into a standalone story arc without worrying whether or not you've caught up on all the context that you need. Giacchino sees Werewolf in the Dark as following a similar idea. While it definitely is part of the MCU, it's very much a self-contained story that anyone can hop into without any prior MCU knowledge. The idea of a show not needing 10 years of superhero lore acumen to get into is definitely an exciting one, especially since many fans have been complaining about MCU burnout on social media. Giacchino clearly showed he could make smart directorial decisions here. This is the director's biggest project ever, given that his primary work is as a composer for films like The Batman and Thor: Love and Thunder, and we're excited to see what he brings to the table. Next, how the show adds a fresh twist to the MCU. Now, the MCU movies in general are pretty tame. Sure, there's plenty of action and dramatic moments and character deaths and all that, but when you get right down to it, most of the movies have a pretty consistent, lighthearted tone that they stick to. In terms of dialogue, filming, and directing, the MCU formula, if you will. Werewolf by Night looks to buck these trends as the special gears up to embrace its status as the MCU's first ever truly horror-centric movie. Sure, Multiverse of Madness had some Raimi-inspired horror elements here and there, but Werewolf by Night is billed to be a straight-up black and white 40s monster movie-style horror show. Director Giacchino has been vocal about his love for the genre, calling the show his love letter to all these old movies I lived through growing up. To him, the best part of monster movies is how allegorical the monsters are to real-world problems, like the feeling of being alienated. Clearly, he's a fan of what he's working on. Following that, how one of the show's resident monster hunters feels about her experience. Speaking of the crew, they're clearly pretty on board with the project since Screen Rant's interview with Laura Donnelly, set to play monster hunter Elsa Bloodstone, gave a great insight into how the cast and crew feel about the project. For her part, Laura was all smiles as she described her experience playing the role of Elsa Bloodstone, mentioning how excited she was to not just be doing an MCU movie, a genre of movie that she's a pretty big fan of, but a 40s-inspired horror movie. Apparently, she grew up on that kind of stuff, so that's pretty much a match made in heaven. Besides that, the MCU actress has also praised the stunt team for the movie. Donnelly has already played a couple of decently physically taxing roles, like in HBO's The Nevers, and she's trained in martial arts for the last 4 years, so you can bet she's no pushover. So it's beyond impressive when she talks about how the MCU stunt team helps her character do things she could never imagine doing. Big props to those guys and what they've managed to do on the show. Next, how the show might tie into future Marvel projects. While the official stance that Giacchino is taking is that Werewolf by Night is a fully standalone project, head honcho Kevin Feige seems to have his own ideas on the show's place in the wider MCU. The Marvel Studios president said in a behind-the-scenes featurette that the show was quite important to the MCU. Honestly, we're not surprised by that statement at all. For one thing, the trailer for the special featured the likeness of Man-Thing, a character from the comics who is very closely tied to the idea of the multiverse, the central concept this phase of Marvel films and shows has used to connect to one another. The Man-Thing is the guardian of the nexus of all realities, and here's an impressive title. We don't know about you, but that feels like a pretty convenient way to connect the special to future MCU projects to us. Finally, critics praise Werewolf by Night to high heaven at the secret screening. Fans have good reason to be excited about Werewolf by Night, given how positive the critics' reactions to the test screenings have been. One major aspect critics have praised is that the special apparently feels like an actual horror movie, which helps to distinguish it from the rest of the MCU. Some fans might be breathing a sigh of relief upon hearing that bit of news, given that audience interest in the MCU has slowly begun to dip over the past few years. characters, something many attribute to the formulaic structure the movies have developed over the years. That's the scoop on the most exciting upcoming superhero movie project that is sure to send thrills and chills through the screen. Now, some related news. First, everyone's favorite scoundrel bounty hunter might just be hitting the MCU. You know him from Indiana Jones, where he braved the deepest archaeological digs for hidden secrets. You know him from Star Wars, where he flew through the galaxy as a rascal bounty hunter. Now, Harrison Ford might just be planning to show you how he looks standing next to comic book icons on the big screen. So, the scoop is that Ford might be joining an all-star cast for Thunderbolts. While nothing is confirmed, in an interview with Hot Topic, Jeff Snyder claimed that the actor will be playing the role of Thunderbolt boss in the 2024 slated film. The actor's replacement is certainly plausible given William Hurt's unfortunate passing. The idea of seeing Harrison Ford in the MCU is definitely exciting. In case it ends up being a daydream, fans still have the reappearance of Ford as Jones in the character's fifth outing, slated for 2023. Coming up, Armor Wars might have shifted away from the show format for a reason. A common complaint with the new wave of MCU shows is that the episode format makes the pacing fly all over the place. Armor Wars seems to be responding to that complaint by moving away from its initially announced 6-episode format and is now slated to appear as a movie. Armor Wars is essentially actor Don Cheadle's opportunity to develop the character of James Rhodes' War Machine as his first solo appearance, something that might be helped with this new format. The change also shows that the studio is willing to make changes to projects in the middle, which may have been necessary given how rough the filming and production process was. Lastly, a fan favorite might not be coming back to the MCU. Spider-Man No Way Home had one of the most emotional endings in any MCU film, and it seems like it's going to be a lot more permanent than people might have thought it was. While talking about the movie with Collider, Jacob Balatun, who plays Peter's beloved best friend Ned, said that the possibility of the character returning is pretty much up in the air. Given that he did technically have all memories of Peter erased from his mind at the end of the movie, it'd kind of be a cop-out if he magically showed up or remembered Peter too soon. The actor also opened up about his experience filming the movie, and how it felt for that entire period of his life to have potentially ended. He mentioned his co-stars, and talked about how it was an emotional scene when the shooting ended, calling it a beautiful ride. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that fans should lose all hope of seeing the character, or even Zendaya's MJ, ever again. Batalon talked about how he was open to playing the character if the opportunity ever opened up in the future, and expressed excitement at the idea of working with the friends he made while making the films once again. There you have it, folks, your scoop of the juiciest MCU news. Are you guys looking forward to Werewolf at Night? What do you think about its complete genre change from the other MCU movies? For more, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Until next time.